Good afternoon. I don't know if it's the same where you're at, but here in the Seattle area today, it is amazing. I have heard reports that we're supposed to have this major thunderstorm, showers, deluge, reminiscent of the days of Noah. But today, by faith, I'm gonna believe something different, and actually, that's what I want to take a moment to talk to you about. Have you ever, or did you ever play one of those magic eye games? You know, it's like this book, and if you stare at the image long enough, at first it just looks like all this abstract stuff, and then all of a sudden, from the middle of the page would emerge, a mountain, a walrus, a car, something. I struggled with that. In fact, at first I thought, I've got this book. Everyone's looking at the Magic Eye books, and they're going, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe it! It just appeared!" And I would look, and I would stare at that book for long periods of time and see absolutely nothing. And wondered if they were maybe pulling one over on me. But eventually, I could see something came out of that which seemed chaotic. And in the book of Hebrews, the author in chapter 11 says, faith is confidence in what we hope for, an assurance about what we do not see. In some ways, it's this holy, creative imagination that God has deposited within each of us. And for some reason, it seems that holy dreaming, that imagination, that creativity in our culture, we start to lose early in life. We give up on our dreams. We settle for what is, and we don't begin to ask the questions about what if. There's a great book I'd recommend to you. It's called Imagination First, and I want to read you just a couple little pieces out of this book. He's talking about why do we need imagination, and one reason he says is because without it, education is utterly empty. He writes, today's culture of testing and data collection in education was born of good intention, to close the persistent achievement gaps of race and poverty. But over time, ends and means have sometimes gotten muddled. Too many public schools focus on the measurable to the exclusion of the possible. As a result, too many students end up better prepared for taking tests than for being skillful learners in the world beyond school. Great at taking tests. Great on the measurable to the exclusion of the possible. That is interesting. He says when all we do is focus on the content and not the skills to manipulate the content, we are not producing scientists or artists or investigators for the 21st century or the 22nd century, which is quickly approaching. If we merely cram kids full of a lot of what, we leave them utterly unready for what if. That's powerful. We fear the what if. Eric in his book says, the what if is not only the question of children, but it is the question of adults. He says, what makes what if seriously adult is that these two words turn out to be the key to successfully performing the experiment called being human. For what separates us from the beasts and from the best artificial intelligence programs is that we humans have a capacity to bootstrap from what is to what if. In fact, it is this capacity and our ability to express it in word and image that make human consciousness the miracle it is. And yet, most of the time, most of us squander this absolutely miraculous pile of genetic lottery winnings. We are born with imaginations that, if developed, could run like Porsches, but we move through the world like Model Ts. In spite of our wondrous capacity to take our perceptions of the world and convert them through analogy, induction, and recombination into something imagined, yet not extant, counterfactual, in spite of our capacity to see a pile of horse manure and to imagine a pony in there somewhere. It turns out that most people prefer a known situation that is bad, like standing beside that stinky pile, to an unknown situation that could be dramatically worse, diving deep into it, even if the situation could be dramatically better, by actually finding a pony. And that illuminates the problem, he says. What if is scary. What if encompasses not only the possibility that the world is round and circumnavigable, but also the possibility that it is flat and it drops off abruptly to hell. This weekend at SV, I'm going to talk about what if nothing was impossible. Has there been a dream or a spark that you gave up on a long time ago? Do you need a grid shift? Do you need a mind expansion? Do you need the gospel to take root in your soul so that you see through the eyes of faith and just not through merely human eyes? Man, if that's you, and I know there are so many entrepreneurs and artists and creatives out there that are dying to unleash it, but we've settled for manipulable data, test scores, the known. My challenge to you is to ask that question, what if? And to ask it with faith. Faith that sees through the invisible. Faith that although it's not yet here, we know it soon will be here because we look at things differently. So I'd love to have you join me this weekend at Snoqualmie Valley Alliance as we dig into part 3 of my What If series, and we look at what if nothing was impossible. Have an amazing day in this gorgeous Seattle weather.